Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending this Zoom meeting. This is the meeting of the Planning Board for the City of Springfield. We're meeting under a little different circumstances this time. So everybody take a deep breath and we'll get through this. I would like to remind the members that we will not be voting on issues tonight. We will not be closing any of the, closing the meeting once we've heard from the petitioners. We will do this in the next Zoom meeting that we have. This will allow people to give feedback to the planning department. Everybody set? Okay, I haven't heard anybody. I'm getting thumbs up. So Phil, if you could do the roll call, please.
Yeah, just quickly, I probably should have said that too, Gloria, just so everyone knows, because of the fact that we're doing this on Zoom, a notice went out that allows the general public to watch the meeting on both either channel 17 or online through Focus, but they are not allowed to participate in the actual meeting. So as part of the notice, they were given the option to either call in through a voicemail system or send in emails. So that is the reason we're continue the hearing. After the petitions have a chance to speak, we'll continue it. And if anybody watching then has comments on what was said, either by the planning board or the petitioners, they will be able to then call in again or send an email in. We will read those at the next meeting on the 17th. And then at that time, the board will vote on a particular item. So all of these items will be continued until the 17th. So on that note, I'll call the roll. Mr. Cunningham. And again, if you could just unmute, say yes or here and.
You have to unmute.
Okay, yeah, I'm here.
Mr. Minio.
Here.
Mr. Daniele is absent. Ms. Moran.
I don't see her.
Oh, what happened to?
I think she's coming back in. I think she may have.
She may be coming in on her phone. Stand by.
Oh, there she is. Unmute, Rosemary.
Sorry, I'm having connectivity issues. I don't know why, but.
I'm just calling you, Rosemary. Ms. Moran, just to respond that you're here.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, yes, here.
Ms. DiFilippo,
Here.
Mr. Florian,
I'm with you.
Mr. Florian. Leo. Leo.
No, I'm gonna call her.
You have to unmute yourself, Leo.
I see. I'm gonna get a little getting used to. Just say here, Al.
Oh, we can't hear you.
Leo, can you raise your hand to indicate you're present?
Okay. Ms. McQuaid
Here.
and Ms. Joy.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Will you read the first?
We will.
You want me to go ahead with the first item, Gloria?
Yes, please.
Under public hearings, a liquor license, all alcoholic new, location 238 Chestnut Street. Petitioner Papa Ram Associates LLC, doing business as Top Shelf 2.
Present.
Would you state your name and your address, please?
Daniel Kelly, 33 Mulberry Street. My law practice, I'm here on behalf and with at Mulberry Street with my client, with Mr. Ramesh, who is the owner of the proposal.
Okay. would you like to talk a little bit about the proposal for us?
Certainly. So this is a proposal for a liquor license at 238 Chestnut Street. If you're familiar with this area, this is diagonally across, or directly across from the old registry downtown, and diagonally across from the Y, or the Y used to be as well. So on both sides of this entity, it's a three address parcel of a kind of like a mini strip there, just when you get under the bridge on Chestnut Street, if you're heading north. This would be the middle of the three addresses. On the right-hand side is a liquor serving establishment that is there. On the left-hand side is another liquor serving establishment which is there. They're both fully licensed. They're also owned by Mr. Ramesh. So this is just the middle entity. It used to be an insurance agency. Mr. Ramesh has been a longtime member of the business community in Springfield. He has been a nightclub owner for 15 to 22 years. He's been in front of your board, in front of the Springfield Planning Board for numerous occasions. He has a very good record, outstanding when you consider he's been in the nightclub business for 2 decades. It's very hard to maintain a good record. I think the fact that he's been doing this for so long, his longevity speaks to his success in running a good, clean operation. That's the only way to have any long-term success in this business. So what is he looking to do here? He's looking to have a nightclub. I reviewed the planning analysis. We don't agree with the conditions that the planning department is asking that you impose on that. He wants to run a nightclub, and it'll be a place that serves hookah. It'll be kind of a hookah bar vibe with some different type of music that you can kind of hang with your friends, have a few drinks, and smoke some hookah if that's what you like to do. So that's what he's hoping to do. It's not more complicated than that. It's a pretty straightforward proposal, and that's what he's looking to do. And I'll just go ahead and address some of the proposed restrictions if this is the appropriate time. If it's not, just let me know. I think the analysis falls a little short in that they're asking that he be closed at midnight. Well, the 2 other places that he has license on either side of him at that exact same parcel are not closed. Don't close at midnight. They close at 2 a.m. like every other nightclub in the city of Springfield. In fact, his main competition will be MGM, who's open till 4 a.m. So it's a little difficult for the little guy to compete against the big multinational corporation with 2 hands tied behind his back as it is. But to have him be closed at midnight, it's a restriction that essentially closes him, especially in this, who knows when he'll be able to open anyway, given the governor's meandering way about handling the pandemic. So to actually allow him, when he does open, which won't be for several months if he's lucky, to only be able to open until midnight is a restriction that essentially closes his business. So we're not agreeing to that. And I can have further discussion and any questions you have on that, but that's essentially our main sticking point with the analysis. Mr. Ramesh, again, has been a long-standing member of this community and has done great things over many bars for a long time. Neither of the 2 sides that he is operating currently have any violations while he owned them in front of the liquor board. They just haven't, and he's owned them for several years, and that's just a matter of public record. So I'd ask you to keep that in mind when you're making your decisions as to what, if any, restrictions you place on Mr. Ramesh's business. Keep in mind, you're not talking about a huge nightclub here. You're talking about a relatively small place anyway. But with that in mind, any questions you have or any comments, we're certainly willing here. And again, Mr. Ramesh is with me and is certainly able to answer any questions that you may have.
Does
Thank you.
anyone have any questions?
It's Rosemary. Is there anybody here from the liquor board? I can't tell everybody who's here.
No.
No? Okay.
Peter Signator did indicate he was going to attend tonight, but I don't see him.
Okay. I had questions if it was in case that he hasn't had any issues or so.
Well, we're not closing the hearing, so we could potentially have that information for the next meeting, Rosemary. You're muted.
I would like to know that before we make any decisions. Thanks.
I'll certainly see what I can do to email if I can obtain the records directly myself, and I'll email them, and certainly you're able to obtain them probably easier than I can from his ownership on either side.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Phil, I saw the recommendation for midnight, and what was the reasoning behind it?
Well, I guess initially I was, hearing Attorney Kelly, I was a little unclear exactly what was happening at this location. So I wasn't sure what exactly I know it's adjacent to his existing establishment, and I just, there was no kind of indication that any food was being served here. So I kind of was a little unclear exactly what the use was for. So, the clarification helps. It was just kind of I wasn't exactly sure what the ultimate goal was to be, whether it was to incorporate it at some point into the adjacent use or not.
I guess that was my next question. Was there any plans to join them together to make it one larger club, or what?
Is that for me, Madam Chairwoman?
Yes.
No, well, for starters, and as the planning department correctly pointed out, the adult entertainment license that's in the place, if you're looking at it to the right, is a pre-existing non-conforming use. So that can't be expanded. Just the law is very clear on that. So no, he won't be able to expand. If the question is this kind of a backdoor way to get a bigger strip club? The answer is no, that'd be precluded by law. And he's kind of changed the way the adult entertainment license is being used at that area from prior owners. This is not something that offers adult entertainment every single minute that he's open. He only offers it sparingly, as he found it. It's only profitable in short spurts. So he's not looking to enlarge his strip club. In fact, he's had his license and doesn't use all the hours that he could, the current adult license.
Attorney Kelly, will there be any food at this premises, on the premises?
Not, no, he's going to run a nightclub, but it's not going to be a restaurant. I mean, he'll have some small snacks, but it's not like you're going to be able to go there and, get a hamburger or anything like that.
Yeah, but there will be something.
I mean, keep in mind what we're dealing with. The place is very small. So, will there be peanuts? Will there be things like that? Chips? Sure. But I just don't want to give you any false hope that if you're going to come there, they're going to hand you a food menu. That's
Right,
not.
no, that's fine.
Yep.
Okay. So there are no other questions from anyone?
No.
All right, then I will
I
accept.
Yeah, I just need a motion to continue the hearing, and then we can.
Right, and also remember, we're having a roll call vote. So do I have a motion to continue
I'll make a
this
motion.
hearing?
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing.
Thank you, Jen. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay,
Thank you.
Rosemary.
Thank you.
Um,
Just to clarify, will I be getting a Zoom email for the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll send that out to you, Dan.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, Phil, do you want to do
Thank
the
you.
vote?
Sure. Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Daniele, absent. Ms. Moran,
Yes.
Ms. DiFilippo,
Yes.
Mr. Florian. I don't know if your mic's working, but I saw you say yes. Ms. McQuaid
Yes.
and Ms. Joy.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Attorney
Thank you.
Kelly, we'll see you next time
Thank
on Zoom.
Thank you.
Leo, just so you know, Leo, if you do have a question that, because your mic does not seem to be working, if you want to type it into the chat feature down below, we can answer if you do have a question. So, and I guess I would just ask you, next on a roll call, if you could just raise your hand. So I will move on to the next item. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Under public hearings, liquor license, all alcoholic, new location 1500 Main Street, petitioner White Lion Brewing Company, doing business as White Lion Brewery.
Would you
I am off of mute. Thank you. Thanks, Phil.
state your name and address, please?
Absolutely. My name is Raymond Berry. I reside in the city of Springfield at 36 Garland Street. And I'd like to thank the city of Springfield, the planning board, and the planning commission for giving me an opportunity to share additional information about White Lion Brewing Company. White Lion Brewing Company started back in 2014. So we're an already established business. We have approval from the Tobacco Trade Bureau on the federal side for distribution and brewing. We have approval from the ABCC as well on the state side for distribution and brewing. And we're now petitioning the city of Springfield by way of the planning board and hopefully eventually the license commission for a GOP beer and wine license. We have started to build out a large-scale project at 1500 Main Street, occupying the former Spaghetti Freddy space. Spaghetti Freddy's had sat vacant for approximately 18 years. So we are now in a position to reactivate that space. For folks that are familiar with craft breweries in small towns or cities, they are considered a destination where people from the surrounding communities come, visit, and there's a spinoff. We hope to be in a position where if the GOP is approved, people will come, they will experience the brewing component, the visual and the optic is there in that space, and then they will visit our space and also visit other downtown establishments, or vice versa, visit those establishments and come to visit our space as well. So we look at it as another piece of the ever-growing economic development puzzle that builds the fabric of the downtown corridor. We are also in a position to be the very first full production craft brewery in the city of Springfield, and the first brewery full production since post-prohibition. So that's going back 70 to 80 plus years. So just a little bit about the space. As stated, the space will be used for actual production. People will be able to come in and experience the sight of the tanks, the canning line, the movement of equipment and inventory. There will also be a small kitchen, and so people will be able to come in and have a food element as well. And then aside from that, as noted with the GOP, a lot of craft breweries incorporate into their business profile a tap room environment. So our tap room, again, will allow people or patrons to come, experience what we're trying to do in the city of Springfield. Also with the footprint of the tap room, as noted in the GOP application, there is an additional area of space immediately outside the area that's called Center Court in Tower Square. And then as Phil had noted, duly noted, and thank you, Phil, for noting that we have activated the park across the street at 1477 Main Street, which is also owned by Tower Square, where we run our seasonal beer gardens, which have been great for downtown. Again, welcoming people from the surrounding communities, folks that are visiting from outside in. They come out, they listen to music, entertainment, and they can have a nice beverage or wine. So we're looking forward to the feedback from the commission. We know this is a two-step process, and if there are any questions, I'm here to answer them. So thank you.
Okay, I just want to review the hours with you.
Yes, please.
Okay.
So because we have because we're incorporating a food element, we're asking that we be allowed to open for the public at 11:30 a.m. to 7 o'clock p.m. Monday and Tuesday. And then for Wednesday through Saturday, the same time opening, 11:30 a.m. and closing at 9 o'clock p.m. We want to be very clear to the commission and the city of Springfield. We are not here to compete with our brother and sister restaurants. We are a brewery that so happens to have a tap room with a food element. We're not going to be open at 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11:30 at night. We have we want to operate within a confined environment. And so the heavy days would be Wednesday through Saturday with the closing time around 9 p.m. When we ran the beer garden, we extended the beer garden as well. We had operations until about 9 p.m. And through our experience around that time, people start to dissipate. They're ready to go to the next venue.
Okay, on your petition here, it says Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Should that be changed to 9 p.m.?
The petition should state, as typed on the copy that I received, and I apologize if there's an error, 11:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday and Tuesday, and
Yeah, that's fine.
11:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday. So I apologize if there's an error.
Okay. Oh, I see it. All right, fine. Okay. And have you seen the conditions?
I have.
And you agree to the conditions?
We don't see a problem with the conditions set.
Okay. I have no questions. Does anybody else have any questions?
I just have a question about parking, because it does say there's 1,200 spots. Is that the parking in Tower Square that other people use? Are they?
It is. It is. So we're kind of excited to be able to market that. There is a tendency where people feel as if there's not enough parking downtown. So we will utilize that as a marketing incentive for the brewery, that if you cannot find parking during daytime hours, you're more than welcome to park in Tower Square. So yes, to answer your question, that parking is associated with Tower Square, but we're fortunate enough to be downtown where there's plenty of also downtown parking.
Rosemary, did you?
Yep. I was just curious about the food. You mentioned there's going to be a menu. What type of food is it going to be?
Absolutely. If I was able to send you a photo, I would be happy to do so. The food space is going to incorporate a pizza oven type environment where people can come and have personal styled pizzas, quick menu, very light fare, but the primary component of the kitchen will be pizzas, custom made farm to table concept pizzas.
Thank you.
Fresh ingredients that you can pick and choose. I would say similar to when you walk up and get a Subway, you can say, I want X, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Similar to that, you'll be able to go up, express what you want, and then the pizza will be delivered.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions?
I just have a quick question on the hours of operation.
Please, yes.
Wouldn't it make more sense just to say midnight for the 7 nights? I think the license will probably say that anyways. Like, why limit yourself to like 9 o'clock on Saturday night? You know.
I understand that, and thank you for that question. If the final paperwork duly notes midnight, we would accept that, but we will be very clear with the City of Springfield Planning Board and License Commission that they are the hours that we would operate within. If there still happened to be a special request where we had a major event or there was something major happening downtown by way of Hall of Fame festivities, a big game, or whatever it may be, then we would notify the appropriate party, the License Commission, City of Springfield, well in advance, letting them know that we're making a special request for an extension of the hours. But the hours duly noted would be the hours that we would operate within the majority of the time in that space.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hearing no other questions, I will accept a motion to table this hearing until next planning board. Bill, could you?
So moved.
Oh, thank you. Second.
I'll make a second.
Thank you, Luca.
Voting to continue the hearing, Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Daniele absent, Ms. Moran,
Yes.
Ms. DiFilippo,
Yes.
Mr. Florian. You could just raise your hand. Yep. Ms. McQuaid
Yes.
and Ms. Choi.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll see you
Thank you
next time.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Phil, would you do the next
Yeah,
petition?
with regards to the next item, I'm going to read the next two off since they're kind of related. And then we would just, I mean, rather than do two presentations, I think Mr. Furman can probably do one presentation for both zone changes, and we would just take two separate votes to continue them. But under public hearings, it's zone change 3213, address Northside Buckingham Street et al. And Northside Providence Street et al. Proposed zone change from Residence B to Commercial P. Petitioner Massmutual Life Insurance Company. And also zone change 3214, address Eastside Clarence Street et al. Proposed zone change from Residence A to Commercial P. Again, petitioner Massmutual Life Insurance Company.
Thank you. Would you state your name and address, please? Who's-
Evening. My name is John Furman. I'm the Director of Land Development for VHB. Our office address is 1 Federal Street in Springfield. And with me tonight in the mix of callers here are some representatives from Massmutual. We should have Eric Weinstein, Rick Smith, Sean Anderson, and Dominic Yano. And we are here tonight to present two zone change applications. I'm looking for a positive recommendation for both. What I would like to do is share my screen or take the screen to show the plans that we submitted. Phil, is that what you want me to do?
Yeah, if you could, John. I think you've got permission to share your screen.
All right.
Hopefully this works.
Yes. I had, oh, there must be up here.
I think at the bottom, there's a green.
Oh, there it is. Yep. Okay. So the first application is for the rezone for Clarence Street, which you can see on the map that I'm showing right here. Clarence Street continues and basically has become the driveway for Massmutual. Our intention is to reorganize the parking areas to increase safety and efficiency on processing vehicles. And part of that is to reconfigure the parking lot. The grayed out lots here, which there are 6 in total, are the lots that we are looking to rezone. They are currently owned by Massmutual. They are currently zoned Residence A, and we are looking to rezone them to Commercial P. I'm gonna slide the plan down if I did this correctly. And this is what our current plan looked like, or a portion of it. Right now, you can see that all the employees would come into Clarence and kind of go through the entrance this way. We're gonna planning to start reusing the entrance right in front that is signalized, and then the gates and the security booths that are here would be moved over to here, and then there would be reconfiguring of the driveway. That still all needs to get finalized and designed and submitted, and we would do that with Bill. But right now, we're looking for the rezoning. If there's no questions on that one, I'll go to the second one.
Go ahead.
All right, hearing none. So this one is 2 streets, and it's actually on the other side of the campus. Hopefully, you guys are seeing the plan that I swapped over to. This is Providence Street. And on Providence Street, there is a total of 8 lots that Massmutual owns. They are zoned Residence B, and we were looking to rezone them to Commercial P. So again, the grayed out lots here are the ones that we are looking to rezone. I should have mentioned it on Clarence too, but the end that's hatched out here, that is the portion of the street that's going to be discontinued, and we have applications ready to be submitted for those. I'm going to slide the plan down, and this is the street that is just north of Providence, Buckholz, and there are a total of 14 lots there. So in effect, Massmutual owns all the lots on that street. So we are going to be discontinuing that street in its entirety. And these lots are also zoned residential B, and we're looking to rezone them to commercial B. On this one here, this view, you can see the existing Massmutual parking areas kind of surrounding. And I'm gonna flip to one more plan. And this is a smaller scale concept plan that we have prepared that is looking at the parking areas that we are intending to create. So there will be no new entrances off of any of the streets. The parking will be internal. It'll all be fed from the existing parking areas and drives within Massmutual. And the rezoning of all of these lots on Buckholz, Providence, and Clarence is consistent with the long-range plans that Massmutual has for basically expanding the campus and you know, committing to providing enough parking on the campus for their employees. And that is all I have, unless there are questions.
I have a question, and you must excuse because I cannot read. On the map that is showing, there's a little horseshoe area.
Right here?
It's over here. It's over,
I think it's the house that's remaining, John.
okay, is that what it is?
Yeah, I'm
That's
sorry.
what I
yes.
want, okay.
Yep.
All right. Does anyone have any questions?
I mean, just to chime in for a second, an important note that I just noted, because I hadn't driven around there for a while, but you know, all the land that they're talking about the parking now is already currently fenced in by Massmutual, and the structures I think are all primarily already gone and have been for a while. So that this is not the plan is not kind of proposing that all these houses be removed, although they have been over the time, but the lot itself is already kind of encompassed within the campus, just not currently being used for parking.
And that,
Okay.
if I could add, that's also the same situation on Clarence with the other lots that are over there.
Right.
Also, you should have received email today from Phil with a letter of support from the Pine Point Community Council.
Correct. I received that today through email, or from John Furman.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions?
I mean, the only comment I had, and I kind of relayed this to Mr. Furman, is that you know, you can kind of see by the plan that obviously the parking surrounds that kind of existing house that's going to remain. I just wanted to be ensured that, you know, and I think John is well aware of this, that house certainly be buffered by the parking. So, and I have asked also to see if we can get a little more landscaping in the plan.
Yeah, and we have created some pretty decent buffers landscaping wise around this lot. And then we have committed to working with Phil on landscape design when the time comes.
Is someone actually living in that house right now?
I believe so.
And they're not interested in selling, or did you just not offer it, or didn't need it, or?
The Massmutual has offered, but they have declined at this point.
Okay.
John, this is Rick Smith with Massmutual. We do have a standing offer with the neighbors that we, before they sell, to approach us, but we don't go out aggressively to try and buy properties.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If there are no other questions, I will accept a motion to table this until our next meeting.
I'll make a motion to table this zone change number 3213 till the next meeting.
Thank you, Jen. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Luca.
Voting to continue the first zone change number 3213, Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Daniele absent, Ms. Moran,
Yes.
Ms. DiFilippo,
Yes.
Mr. Florian,
Leo.
Just raise your hand, Leo.
Can hear now.
Oh, okay. Ms. McQuaid,
Yes.
Ms. Choi,
Yes.
and we could just get a motion to continue zone change number 3214.
I'll make a motion to continue zone change number 3214.
Thank you, Jen. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Rosemary.
Voting to continue zone change number 3214, Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Daniele, absent, Ms. Moran,
Yes.
Ms. DiFilippo,
Yes.
Mr. Florian.
Leo?
Yep, I see him.
Yes.
Ms. McQuaid
Yes.
and Ms. Choi.
Yes.
Gotcha, Leo. Okay,
Thank you, gentlemen, very much. See you next month or next 2 weeks, I guess.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bill, if you would do the last petition, am I correct?
well, we have one more zone change and then a site plan review. So the next
Okay.
item is under zone change number 3215, address 11 Merwin Street, proposed zone change from Residence B to Business A. Petitioner Zabor Kaku, I hope I didn't butcher that, but. Rob, are you gonna?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Chairperson DiFilippo and board members. I'm Rob Levesque from our Levesque Associates. Here this evening representing Zagur Hawk. We're here this evening for a zone change for 11 Merwin Street. Subject property was a multifamily property that Mr. Zagur was able to secure. Through that acquisition, he went through the process for demolition of the existing multifamily structure. We are now requesting a zone change to allow for Business A zoning on the subject property that would allow the entire property that he owns, which he's also the owner operator of the mobile station directly adjacent to the subject property, and also owns the vacant lot directly adjacent to the subject property. So there's really 3 properties there. This would round out the property and allow him to expand and improve upon the existing property that he owns. Again, it's the mobile station with the existing convenience store under the canopy. What he would like to do is take that convenience store, demolish that convenience store, and then expand and do a much nicer facility, and then round out that corner. Mr. Hawk has been able to go through the process with the New North Citizens Association. They gave him a positive recommendation not too long ago. I believe that was a unanimous vote. And if it pleases the board, what I'd like to do is just share my screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take me just one more second. Okay, with any luck, you're looking at an existing conditions plan of the subject property. Can everyone see this plan?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So you'll see Main Street is to the west. This is the subject property where the mobile station is. There's an existing structure. The canopy itself is right about here. This is the concrete pad. These are the pumps. Back to the southeast, we have an existing car wash building. And the subject property that we're talking about is over here. You'll see that there's a zone line from the Business A zoning district to the Residence B zoning district. So we're requesting a zone change to allow us to change this property to Business A. That will round out this corner. Again, Merwin Street is here. And then there's this little connector A property here. Roadway here. So we're requesting a change. I do have a copy of the plan. We did submit a plan for a special permit. I do have a copy of that if you'd like to see that. I know it's not the subject of tonight's meeting, but for your information, if it pleases the chair and the board, be happy to share that as well.
No, that's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone have any questions? If there are no questions, then there are no conditions on the petition. So I would accept a motion to table this until our next planning board meeting. Someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to table this to our next meeting.
Thank you, Jen. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Luca.
So voting on the motion to continue, Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Daniele absent, Ms. Moran,
Uh-oh.
unmute, Rosemary.
My enter button wasn't working, but yes.
Ms. DiFilippo,
Yes.
Mr. Florian, yep, see him. Ms. McQuaid,
Yes.
and Ms. Joy.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll see you next planning board.
Great, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too.
Okay, our final public hearing for site plan review, address 2071 Roosevelt Avenue. It's for the renovation of an existing building for a proposed middle school and associated uses. Petitioner, Springfield Preparatory Charter School.
Can I begin, Madam Chairman?
Please, state
Thank
your
you.
name and address.
Will do. My name is Craig Brown. I'm a lawyer with Doherty, Wallace, Pillsbury, and Murphy. We have offices at 1414 Main Street here in Springfield, and we're representing Springfield Preparatory Charter School. I'm here tonight with the Springfield Prep team, consisting of Bill Spire, who's the founder and executive director of the school. Bill will talk a little bit about the school. Also here with John Allard, who's a landscape architect with Fuss & O'Neill. John will review the site plan for the planning board. I'm also here with John Furman, whom you've already met. John will review the traffic study for this project. Megan Wagner is the Director of Finance and Operations for the school, and Megan is going to review the on-site traffic management plan. And also with us is Dory Brooks, who's with Jones Whitsett Architects. They're the architects for the school project in case any questions arise. So we'll begin with Bill Spire talking a little bit about Springfield Prep.
Thanks, Craig, and thank you everyone for your time. We appreciate the opportunity to share our proposed plans with you. We started our school 5 years ago, and in just 3 years, we will have reached our full capacity and we'll be serving 486 students in kindergarten through 8th grade. And our mission is to provide a college prep education to student groups who've historically not had access to one, and to do that starting in kindergarten. And our student body reflects the student demographic in Springfield. Most of our students are economically disadvantaged. Most are students of color, and many are English learners or students with disabilities. And this project, this proposed project at 2071 Roosevelt Avenue, is a huge step for the Springfield Prep community. Despite operating out of 2 small temporary spaces since our founding 5 years ago, our students and our teachers and our families have done some really exceptional work together. And our students are excelling academically. They're outperforming by large margins the state averages on the state MCAS test. And last year, we were one of a handful of schools statewide to be named a Massachusetts School of Recognition. And we have been looking for permanent school space for many years, and we're thrilled to have found a property that we think we're confident will serve us very well. And when renovated, this building will give our students ample space for big, bright classrooms. The gym addition and playground spaces will make this a great place to work and learn. And the site has excellent parking and circulation capacity, which is so important for safety and accessibility. And this project will give our students, who are founding students, many of them, and many, many more students in Springfield for years to come, the high quality learning environment that they deserve. So we're eager to share more plans with you and to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you.
John Allard, if you could pull the site plan up and walk the planning board through it, that'd be great.
Sure, I've got some graphics here. I'll share my screen. Hopefully I share the right one. And do you see an existing conditions plan up there?
Yes.
Great. So this is the site in question here. It's just to orient people. North is to the top of the page. On the west side of the building, there is Roosevelt Avenue, and on the south side is Memorial Drive. Across the street from on the other side of Roosevelt is Smith & Wesson. To the north is the Big Y Support Center, and to the east is an employee parking lot for that Big Y Support Center. To the south is Columbia Gas. So the existing use currently for the building is office space. Obviously, this is going to be renovated into school. We will end up adding a gymnasium to the back, which we'll get to in the later plan. Currently, there's one access point to the site, which is off of Memorial Drive. We are anticipating reusing that existing site for the entrance to the site. Currently, gas and electric are utilized from Memorial Drive. There's a large drainage easement with a 48-inch culvert down to the south of the property along this line right here. And most of the site is paved. In the rear of the site is all parking spaces. It's all bituminous asphalt paving. We will end up utilizing the existing drainage system that's on the site with a little tweaks here and there. Let's see. So here's the proposed site plan. As I had mentioned before, we are looking to access the site from Memorial Drive from the south. Circulation for the site will be around the exterior. We can talk about the mechanics of pickup and drop off. I believe Megan, who's representing Springfield Prep, knows a lot more about that, and she can kind of go through the mechanics of that. But getting back to the site plan, the main arrival area for students and the bus drop off is this route right here. Main arrival would be right here. There's a secondary arrival, which would be the parent pickup and drop off, which is on this side of the building. Ultimately, not much site work is being done to the Roosevelt Ave side of the building. There could be some pavement patching and restriping, but we are utilizing the existing the pavement in that area. Most of the work is the rework or site work is to the rear of the building. I had mentioned site circulation. The parent pickup and drop off, the cars will be utilizing the outside lane here. This is all going to be one-way traffic going this way during pickup and drop off. Buses will utilize the interior so that there is stacking along this way, and then also vehicular stacking along the whole exterior of the property. No, the parking will remain unchanged. Maybe dropping up one parking space on this side to expand this pickup and drop off area for safety purposes. The main parking area in the rear will introduce landscape islands, trees. We're going to redo, or not redo, but add to the existing drainage. Because we are adding curbs, we've got some spots where the rainwater will collect, so we're adding some catch basins. We are adding board sentry units. for the exterior play space areas, we're imagining this area would be utilized by the younger crowd with some play structures. This second area here, which is shown as rubberized play surfacing, that's another outdoor play area. Everything is fenced in. These play areas are fenced in. The entire site has at least a 6-foot high fence around the entire site. We are proposing a hard court play area back here, which would be striped out for having some basketball hoops, foursquare, hopscotch, stuff like that. And there would be some gated entry so that it could be closed off when the children are playing out there. There's an existing maintenance shed that's going to stay, and the proposed building addition, which I had mentioned earlier, which would be a gym, is located in back right here. I think that will conclude kind of the site plan. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
No.
Great. So John Furman, if you could just summarize the traffic impact study that VHB performed with respect to this project and its impact on traffic in the area.
And just for record, John Furman, Director of Land Development for VHB in Springfield. We did a traffic study to the standards of the ITE, and there's two ways to do a traffic study. You can either use the data that is published by ITE or use empirical data that the actual user has. We analyzed it both ways using the ITE numbers on a daily trip generation basis. ITE estimated that the school would generate 919 trips a day. On the empirical data that we received from the school, that equates to about 378 trips per day. So we analyzed it using the ITE trips to be a very conservative analysis. The impact on a roadway is basically during the peak hours, and there are specified pickup and drop-off times for parents. So during the peak hour, given the composition of buses, minibuses, parents, and staff that attend, 189 vehicles empirically would be visiting the site staggered through the peak hour time, whereas ITE estimates that that's 316. So again, using the ITE numbers, we have looked at prepared a very conservative analysis. We took those numbers and applied the ITE numbers to the intersection of Roosevelt and Industry. And the numbers are small enough that it does not have any substantial impact on the level of service for that intersection. So from a perspective of the actual traffic generated by this proposed school, it's very minor. We're still awaiting comments from the Springfield DPW on that to have them confer with what we have proposed, but in our opinion, it's very minor compared to what's on the roadway now. We also looked at vehicles stacking, and Megan's going to get into those and talk about how the parents load and unload. The only comment I want to add is that VHB has done traffic studies for a number of the charter schools in the city and beyond. And what is very unique about this is that there's an abundance of space for stacking. I'm going to steal one piece of thunder from Megan, and that it's like there's, I think, 61 parent cars are able to stack on site with the ability to stack more. I can't think of any studies that we've done in recent history that provide that kind of stacking. So unless there are some specific questions for me on the traffic, I'm going to turn the mic over to Megan, and she can talk about the actual management.
Yeah, John, I have a few questions. What are the numbers for, and I don't know if and I'm going off the report that you provided to the DPW, and just let all the board members know we are in the process of reviewing the site plan. We should have comments over to John and John tomorrow. But I think the one thing that the DPW is really concerned with is the number of drop-off students. We feel like it was underestimated. So I'm just curious as to how many people are being dropped off currently and how many people are riding the buses at the school.
Let me give you just a quick summary of that, but I think Megan can actually elaborate on that a little more. So in the supplemental memo that we provided to Luca, we actually detailed that quite a bit. And I think the difference is between, I think it was Andrew that sent the email. They estimated that 33 students would be on a bus. And Megan basically says that there are anywhere from 55 to 60 students currently on the bus that they use. So given the number of buses that we're projecting, which are 8, and then 55 to 60 students per each bus, that leaves about 50 parent cars coming in. And we estimated 75 in our analysis. So again, we tried to err on the side of being conservative. The site has more than enough space to accommodate the estimate that we provided and some overflow. But I'll let Megan talk about that a little bit more when she gets up.
I just have a question. What are the school hours? Because you also have Central right there at Bay and Roosevelt, and then Putnam down the street. And anybody who's dropped anybody off at those schools in the morning, from like 7 to 7:45, there's tons of traffic on that street. I just don't know what your hours are.
Megan, could you answer that?
Yeah, absolutely. Our drop-off time is between 7:40 and 7:55, and our pickup time in the afternoon is from 3:55 to 4:10. So I think we would be a little later than them. Maybe there's
definitely later in the afternoon. Yeah, the buses would all be at the schools already, but all the parents running late and the kids running late. Right. I know you would probably get some backup traffic.
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna definitely be backup traffic.
There is now, not without.
Oh, yeah.
Being added, so.
I mean, when I was working, I was traveling that area, so I understand what it's like. Okay, Megan, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely.
John, if you could put the traffic management slide up, please.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And thank you all so much for this opportunity to present tonight. We really appreciate it. So as you know, Craig introduced me, I'm Megan Wagner, the Director of Finance and Operations at Springfield Prep. And I'll be going into a little more detail on the traffic management plan, and then happy to answer any of the other questions that come up around this. So as has been said, one of the reasons that we feel this site is a particularly good fit for our school is because of the extensive car and bus queuing and parking that is available on site here, which is more than enough parking and queuing to accommodate our school's needs when we're fully grown. So as you can see here, if you can see it, it might be, I don't know how small it is on your screen, but we can accommodate over 60 cars in the drop off and pickup queue line that goes around the exterior of the site, or the perimeter of the site. Which we believe based on our plan, I know Luca had some questions about this and I can go into some more detail, but that will accommodate all cars dropping off or picking up on site during arrival dismissal time based on the flow of traffic, and won't require any queuing to back up onto Memorial. And then in the plan, you can see as well that it accommodates the 8 buses. So we believe that's at the high end of what we anticipate our school will be assigned when we're at full capacity. And 104 parking spaces. So we will be needing 70 spots for our staff members. So that also leaves additional parking available as well. So we think because of this large parking and queuing capacity, we'll be able to get all of our staff and students to and from the site without creating traffic queuing onto Roosevelt or Memorial. The one thing the site doesn't accommodate is walkers, student walkers, and we will have a no walker policy. So through the heavy staff presence at arrival and dismissal, you can see in here that we have multiple staff members stationed at the many different parts of the parking lot during the arrival and dismissal process. So we would have someone at the entrance, someone floating throughout to ensure everyone's following the proper flow of traffic. Additionally, someone directing the buses to go into the bus line and the cars to remain in the car line. Then staff at both the front entrance and the secondary entrance where the cars will be pulling up. How our arrival and dismissal process works is that the parents actually follow in that car line, and then we have 4 staff members outside that actually open the car door and escort the children from the cars into the school 4 at a time. And so it goes really quickly. And through that, we'll basically be able to really accommodate everything within the site and keep that very, very well staffed. And through this heavy staff presence, we'd also be able to monitor for anyone that attempts to violate the no walker policy, just to ensure that the policy is strictly enforced and we keep our kids safe. We provide extensive training for our staff to support these plans through a summer institute training and throughout the year. So both staff and leadership of the school are well equipped and very involved to enforce the policies throughout the year. And then we share the policy and procedure information, including this map essentially and the detailed plan with families at orientation and open house prior to the start of the school year. So they are really clear on the processes and are on board when the school year begins. So, and part of my role is really ensuring the safety of the students, the staff, and the families. So creating these detailed plans and staffing it really heavily is really how we're able to keep it as safe and efficient as possible. And just overall, the site, it's really unique in that it allows for such an efficient and orderly traffic management plan on the site. So we're really looking forward to the opportunity to continue to serve students and families of Springfield in this location. So I want to say thank you again, and I'd be happy to take any questions now or turn it back over to Craig.
Well, I'm pleased to hear that you have the no walking policy, because that was a concern of mine. The sidewalks just don't go all the way on both sides, and that would be an issue. I am concerned, though, about the traffic on Roosevelt, having to, when you're going up Roosevelt and having from Bay Street and having to make that right-hand turn, how much that's going to slow down traffic if there's traffic on Memorial and the person can't make the left into the site.
Right.
Let me try to explain that a little bit more clearer. So as part of the traffic study that we did, we actually did a capacity analysis of the intersection as well. And it currently, under current conditions, operates at about a C. And that's just like a report card. Their intersections are rated from A to F. And at the end of the development, when this school starts to get proving, the efficiency does drop down because we are still adding vehicles to the intersection, but it is still rated a C. The only way to improve the intersection is to actually make physical improvements by adding lanes, and there just isn't any space out there to do that. The other thing to note is that, and the guys from the school comment on this based on their past experience, is that our pickup and drop off time is a 15-minute window. It can be expanded to 20 if need be, but parents learn. So if they all say, all right, I'm going to get there right when the pickup drop off opens up, and then they realize that it takes them a little longer to get through the queue line because there's all these other people who had the same idea, they start to kind of spread out their arrival time. So it ends up going across that entire 15 minutes versus a big slug in the at the beginning. And the last thing is and Megan mentioned it, is that we have an excess of parking on the site. So we have estimated 75 parent or guardian cars coming into the site based on our school bus numbers. We have stacking for 61. And what you see on the left side of this plan here is the pickup drop-off zone. There's staff members in that zone, and 4 cars load and unload simultaneously. They estimate that it takes about 30 to 45 seconds for a student to exit the vehicle, and then that staff member to escort them to the building. So we've estimated, again, being conservative, for a minute. So there is enough time and enough stacking for everything that we're anticipating to enter the site and move on. The entrance off of Memorial is also staffed, which you could have seen on Megan's traffic management plan. If in the spaces that are near the queuing line are reserved, staff will not park there. So if a staff member sees that cars start to have difficulty coming into the site because the queuing line might be extending farther than it needs to be, they will direct those cars to those parking spaces where they will again wait for the queue line to move down, and then they can jump into the queue. So we are not anticipating that we are going to have any backups from a queuing perspective on the roadways. The queuing is what actually creates the delay, if you would, at the intersection. So by eliminating the queue and that confrontation that you had mentioned, Gloria, that's why we're predicting that the impact is going to be very slight on the intersection. But there is no doubt we are adding 189 vehicles to the queue or to the peak hour that aren't there today.
I have a question too about the no walker. Is it accessible to parents who don't have vehicles to get to your school? Can you walk? No, right?
No, I mean, that's just my personal, because the
bus on the
sidewalks
backside
don't go all the way down.
There's no public bus there either, is
No,
there?
well, I mean, there's a bus on the corner of Bay. I just didn't know if there was a sidewalk that went from Bay and Roosevelt up, or.
Yeah, there is no sidewalk accessibility.
No.
If I could just, I can respond. I can try to respond to that. So there's, the vast majority of our families are coming. Our students are coming by bus. Then there are some car drop-offs. Of course, it'd be great to have it be more accessible on foot. But as I said, we've been looking for a number of years for a permanent home, and this site is a really excellent site. And I think with that, with the walking issue being one potential downside. Right now, we are in a location right on the Springfield Longmeadow line on the Springfield JCC campus in a former Jewish day school. And we are not accessible to any of our families by foot right now. And while not ideal, our families we are still accessible by bus and by car. And in this location, we will be much more easily accessible by public transportation. There is there is a bus stop right on that on Memorial.
Yes.
And I think, but even then, that's not something we expect to see, because our students are quite young. We don't have high school students. Students are typically being driven by their parents or taking the school bus. That's much more common in the elementary school grades. So we don't anticipate this being an issue, and that's, and we take it very seriously. We work very closely with our families and are relentless in enforcing policies that impact their safety. So I think that's an important consideration here.
I'm sorry, Jen, do you have any other questions?
No.
Okay. When do you anticipate opening the school?
August of 2021.
Okay. So we're talking about a year away.
That's right.
All right. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Yeah, I do have some questions. John, I did have the time to look through the memorandum that you provided to the department. And on that spreadsheet that was attached to that memorandum, are the current numbers for bussers and non-bus students, is that listed on that spreadsheet?
That spreadsheet was obtained from the Springfield School Department for all the schools. Well, I don't think they're all the schools in Springfield, but for other charter schools. And I think Chris Signoli had asked that to see how the numbers that we were projecting for students and bus usage compared to what the school department was already providing. We went back to the school department, I think 3 or 4 times to try and get that data because they just didn't have what Chris was looking for. But our numbers are not on that spreadsheet. That is data obtained directly from the school department.
Yeah, well, that's one thing that we're going to be looking for because you guys are on the lower percentage for student drop off. The other middle schools, Kennedy's at 34%, Veritas is at 28%, Zanetti's at 21%, and the prep schools projecting about 18.5% of students will be dropped off. So we're curious to see what your existing numbers are in enrollment for students, special education students, and then obviously we want to see how many people are getting dropped off now, and then compare those percentages to what you guys are projecting at your future build for the 486 students.
I can definitely provide that. I think one sort of factor that kind of does drive down the number of vehicles compared to the number of students for us is that we have a very high number of siblings in our school, and a decent amount of families that also carpool as well. So it's typically not one student per car, but so we can supply that data as well.
Okay, thank you. And like I said, John and Megan, we'll have some comments out over to you tomorrow afternoon at the latest.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luca.
I would like to just mention that we have received letters of support from Kathy Brown, the president of the East Springfield Civic Association. Also we've received letters from City Councilor Michael Fenton of Ward 2, and one other.
I think that was from the families of the
families of the from the PTA of the school. The copies of the letters were emailed to you, so you would have them in your email. Are there any other questions from the board? Hearing no other questions.
Madam Chairwoman, I just would note that the conditions recommended by the planning department are all acceptable to Springfield Prep.
Thank you, because I did forget to ask you that. Hearing no other questions or concerns, I'll accept a motion to table this hearing.
Move to table this.
Second.
Thank you, Rosemary. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Luca.
Voting in favor of continuing the hearing, Mr. Cunningham?
Yes.
Mr. Minio?
Yes.
Mr. Daniele absent. Ms. Moran?
Yes.
Ms. DiFilippo?
Yes.
Mr. Florian?
Yes.
Yeah, I got him on the phone. Ms. McQuaid?
Yes.
Yep, and Ms. Choi?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all very much for taking the time. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, I just have a few A&Rs we got to go through real quickly, so when these guys clear out, we'll...
Phil, is it possible to talk about all of the A&Rs and then make just one overall vote?
Yeah, sure. And I'm gonna try and share my screen and see if this works. So, so hopefully that. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the first one. This is North Branch Parkway. You can see the existing lot line down the middle here. They're actually cutting out a parcel here, and they're going to create, looks like Juniper Drive, looks like they're creating out of the two lots. They're just actually reconfiguring the lots to create a building lot on Juniper Drive. So,
okay.
So that's the first one. The second one, I think we've all seen this before. This is off of Brentwood Street in Forest Park. He's come in before for a lot, for new lots. This was a subdivision that was approved a number of years ago, but has never been developed. So it's slowly been developed. He's creating two new lots down at the end of the street here. They're actually non-conforming lots because they only have 62 feet of frontage, but he was able to obtain a variance, which allows him to construct on them. So this is just he's creating two new lots. It's still going to allow a driveway here or a road here when he ultimately develops the rear of the property.
Okay.
So that's the second one. Again, this is a pretty straightforward one. I believe this is a city-owned property. There's currently, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 lots that they're combining into one. Again, I think they're obtaining this one in the back from the city.
All right.
Union Street, again, pretty straightforward. There's currently a lot line down the middle. They're just removing that and making it one parcel. And again, this one as well is pretty straightforward. There's an old lot line here that they are removing to make one lot. Again, Prentice Street, there's an existing little 25-foot lot next to this parcel that is being removed. This is actually an existing lot. I'm not exactly sure why they submitted it, but I think to kind of verify the sale, this is Gilbert Avenue and Arnold Avenue. There's the house here. They own the lot behind it. You know, typically if this wasn't an existing lot, you wouldn't be able to do it because you couldn't build a 50 by 100. But all our records show it is an existing lot. They're just filing the A&R to kind of formalize it, but it's an existing 50 by 100 lot that can be built upon. And then lastly, on Walnut Street, again, it's two lots that's being turned into one. So just a motion to approve the A&R plans.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the A&R plans.
Thank you, Jen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Rosemary,
So,
thank you.
Voting to approve, Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Daniele, absent. Ms. Moran,
Yes.
Ms. DiFilippo,
Yes.
Mr. Florian,
Yes.
Ms. McQuaid,
Yes.
and Ms. Choi.
Yes.
Okay, well, that wasn't too bad.
No.
Can I, Phil, it's Rosemary. We didn't vote on the minutes. Can we vote on that since it's
Oh,
not?
yes. I think I sent you, unfortunately, I don't have them in front of me. If somebody, we can, I don't have them in front of me, but we can vote on them next week too. I know I did send 2 copies out, but I don't know the date.
March 4th.
Oh, okay, so if we could.
Let's see. Meeting minutes of February 5th, 2020.
And there's another set?
March 4th.
March 4th.
Yep.
Okay, I didn't get my packet, so I didn't see that.
I didn't get it either.
Well, I got it, fine.
Yeah, so okay. I'm not sure why Leo and Gloria didn't get it, but if we could just get a motion to approve both sets of minutes, and I'll go through the roll call.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I move to accept the minutes.
Thank you, Rosemary. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay. Luca, second.
Voting to approve, Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Minio,
Yes.
Mr. Daniele, absent, Ms. Moran,
Yes.
Ms. DiFilippo.
I'm gonna have to excuse myself since I didn't read them.
That's fine. Mr. Florian?
Same thing, Phil. I didn't get them.
Oh, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we still have Ms. McQuaid
Yes.
and Ms. Joy.
Yes.
I think we still have a majority to approve, so.
Okay. So the next meeting is June 17th. That will also be a Zoom, correct?
Yeah, at this point, I'm hoping we can kind of move away from these, but I don't know when that's going to happen. But obviously, we'll wait to see with the governor. But the next meeting will be a Zoom meeting. I'll just send out the agenda with all these items. I'm going to ask that probably just 1 or 2 people from the petitioners, because I'm not necessarily sure. I just, in case there are questions, I'll have somebody there. Again, I did not receive any comments on the issues except for the letters that were mentioned. So we'll see if we get any comments from the public on what was said tonight, and then if those occur, we'll read those. I'll read those at the next hearing, and then we'll vote. At this point, I believe I only have 1 liquor license for the next application, which is Ocean State Job Lot wants a package store license. So. And then, as you guys know, we only have 1 meeting in July and then 1 in August. Again, I'm hoping at that point we might be back to regular sessions, but I don't know. So I will certainly keep everybody informed. And I appreciate you guys starting early. If the 4:30 time works for these Zooms, I think it helps with the law department, because the law department is doing a number of meetings. It also helps with Focus, who is doing a number of these meetings as well, and I certainly want to thank Focus Springfield for working with me to get this meeting going, because as you know, we've had to put off a number of things. So they're doing a number of meetings for everybody. So
Thank you very much. And yes,
Bill?
I have another meeting on the 25th. That's Zoom. Ed Kula said it was going to be Zoom, so the 17th will be one too.
yeah, I am planning on the 17th as a Zoom.
Bill?
Yes.
Do you want me to sign my copy? I've got the March 4th minutes. Do you want me to sign them and mail them back? I did not get the February minutes.
Yeah, don't worry about it, Gloria. We'll do that. I'll have Kathy.
That's good, but it's Rosemary.
I'm sorry. What did I call you, Gloria? Sorry.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
so don't worry about it. Okay.
When we start meeting again, I'll just get you to sign this.
You'll catch me. Okay, that's fine.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.